Hey there Pokemon trainers, I'm that Scottish nerd that brings you Pokemon TCG content as well as gaming videos, so if either of those interest you, be sure to subscribe down below as I do upload videos multiple times a week. In today's Theme Deck Tuesday, we're having a look at the best deck for beginners getting into the Theme Deck format and which one you should be purchasing first. As always, there are timestamps down below in the description so you can jump around to the matches if you already are familiar with the deck. This is the Soaring Storm theme deck in its entirety here. Now it's a little bit daunting, you do have a lot of Pokemon and trainer cards to work through here, but we'll start it off nice and simple with the Dragonite. It is the star of the deck, and its ability here, Hurricane Charge, is going to allow you to accelerate energy into play. It allows you to attach a water and lightning energy onto your Pokemon in any way that you like. And it has a fantastic attack which deals 170 damage. You do have to discard 3 energy, but that 170 damage is the perfect number to knock out every single Pokemon in the theme deck format. The Charizard that is very popular, it has 170 hit points, so you can one hit KO that, as well as just the energy acceleration is absolutely phenomenal. So you do have the 3-3-2 evolution line here. It's quite often that you're going to be getting one out, well, I say often, you're going to get it out every single game if you play the game correctly, but sometimes you will get out 2, at which point you will be accelerating 5 energy every single turn. To complement that, we do have a bunch of supporting Pokemon. For example, Pidgeotto here, we have 2 of these with Airmail. It's a fantastic ability which allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You put one into your hand and you put the other one on the bottom of your deck. Very good draw, and it thins out your deck. Putting one on the bottom means that you're not going to be redrawing it or anything like that. And you do also have a nice attacker that it can evolve into. If you really want to put Pidgeot into play, then you can. Since it does have free retreat, Whirlwind can deal 60 damage, so it could be nice to finish something off. But there has also been some times that I've been using Spin Storm. For 3 energy, your opponent puts their active Pokemon and all cards into their hand. So if your opponent sets up a big stage 2 and starts attacking with it, you can just reset that, put everything back into their hand. Very good if you're in a bit of a sticky situation then. Definitely a good attack to bear in mind, but for the most part you're going to be staying as the Pidgeotto using Airmail every single turn. And in addition, we also have the Alolan Grimer here. This has Collect to draw 2 cards, but what makes it very special is that you can use it for free. So that low energy cost where it's greyed out and there's no actual energy, that means that you can use the attack for free. So drawing 2 cards for free multiple turns in a row at the start of the game is going to be fantastic for getting you set up and drawing through your deck. Moving on here, we have our final supporting Pokemon, which is the Lantern. It has a nice ability which lets you move energy onto it when your active gets knocked out. That's going to build up energy on it on the back as an attacker without even having to think about it and having to put energy onto it yourself, as well as just doing that nice flat 70 damage. But if you also want to up it and deal 140 damage by also discarding 2 lightning energy from it, you can do that, and that's going to be knocking out a whole bunch of Pokemon. So very solid attacker and happy to have that in the deck. But some of the main attackers that we have in the deck here is the Thundurus. This for 2 energy deals 70 damage if you have Tornadus on your bench, and for 3 energy you can deal 120 damage. So very good effects and very good attacks on a basic Pokemon. And then to combo, as you do need the Tornadus here, the Tornadus for 3 energy deals 80 damage, and if you have Thundurus on your bench, deals 20 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So that's a lot of damage that's getting spread onto the bench, setting up knockouts for later on in the game. Or if your opponent isn't able to set up quickly enough, you can use this multiple turns in a row to knock out low HP Pokemon. That is the Pokemon lineup. They are very strong, they work very well together. And as for the trainer cards, we don't have a lot of actual item cards and search cards, but we do have a lot of Pokemon supporter cards. So we have 2 copies of Pokemon Fan Club here, searching at basics. We have Lily, which is going to allow you to draw until you have 6. We've got the How to draw 3. We've got Fisherman, which is very good. because we have a lot of attacks that discard energy from the Pokemon, so getting those energies back with Fisherman is going to be crucial for using attacks over and over. We have the Cynthia to shuffle our hand into our deck and draw, and we have the Bug Catcher to draw cards as well. And we even have Tate and Lisa if we want an option for switching, or just shuffling our hand into our deck once again. For the search, we do have some Pokemon communication, putting Pokemon back in, getting the ones that we need are going to be great for getting out those Dragonite and Evolution lines. And then we have a split of Lightning and Water Energy. As I said, this is going to be a great deck for beginners as it's showing off all aspects of the TCG. We have very strong attacks, some of these attacks spread damage onto the bench. We also have a mix of energy types and Pokemon types, so that's going to be covering different weaknesses for the different decks that you go up against. You have Pokemon abilities that you're going to have to keep in mind that you're able to use, and you have a bunch of abilities that draw, and you even have a Pokemon that attacks for free, so showing off all aspects of the Pokemon trading card game, as well as being a very, very powerful deck in the theme deck format. So it's going to allow you to grind if you're new to the game and earn those coins and ladder rewards very quickly so that you can get a collection built up and build some other decks for other formats. If you enjoyed this video at any point, be sure to give it a like down below as it would really help me out. Let's get into a couple of matches here and show off just how the deck works. Going first here, we are up against the mirror match. Unfortunately, our hand is pretty dead at the moment. We don't have anything going on. All we really have is the full Dragonite line. Our opponent is opting to attach to the active Pidgey so that they can use collect and draw a card, which is reasonable for them as it's going to be allowing them to try and expand their hand a little bit, and we're going to go for the same thing here with the Bug Catcher. We do hit our heads, which is great, and we even get a Pokemon communication, so we can put the Dragonite there, or not Dragonite, one of the Dragon Pokemon, put that back into our deck and see what we have here. We could get a Grimer, which I kind of like going for here, as we could potentially retreat or switch. And we also want to probably just attack here for the 20, although we could always retreat as well. I think drawing 2 cards is going to be nice for the following turn. But alternatively, if we use Dragonite, then we could actually get a nice attack and knockout here. So I'm just going to attack for the 20 damage. We'll be able to put Dragonite into play on this following turn and get a knockout on whatever my opponent opts to leave in the active spot. They might just be going for the collect again to draw, but it looks like they are retreating, so they're going for the collect on Grimer instead. That's going to net them 2 cards and increase their hand size. But we do have the Dragonite, as I said. We can use its ability here in order to attach 2 energy onto it. And we can even put energy elsewhere, but I think we'll leave that for when we reshuffle our hand here with Tate and Lisa. Putting our hand back into our deck and getting 5 cards, hopefully looking for another attacker, but we're not able to find one, so we're going to be attaching a Lightning onto the active, and we'll get a knockout here with Dragonite dealing 170 damage. And we can discard some of these Lightning energies since we have 2 in our hand. And then it's going to be on our opponent to promote another Pokemon, and we take the first prize of the game. Getting into a Chinchou here could be reasonable for going into a Lantern, as it is a pretty good attacker. My opponent has a similar situation where they have Dragonite in play. If they're able to get the required energy, then they are going to be able to get a knockout, but they did manually attach a water energy here. And it looks like they are using the ability, so they do have the lightning, but no water energy from my opponent to use with the ability, so they're not able to get a return knockout with their Dragonite, and that's going to open them up for a detrimental turn, as we are able to get energy back out of our discard pile and accelerate that with Dragonite, and they scoop it up as they see that they're going to be losing their Dragonite, which is not going to end well for them. Let's get into another match. We're up against a guest player here. Well, they are using the starting theme deck, of course, since they are a guest player. They don't have any other decks available to them, so it's going to be a kind of feel bad on our end, dealing a whole bunch of damage to my opponent. But we can grab the Dratini here, as well as a Grimer. That's going to allow us to start drawing cards, and expanding our hand overall as always. So we'll attach to the active retreat, and we can use collect for 2 cards just for free, and that is why Grimer is so great, as you are able to use it for free and start attaching energy to your other benched Pokemon, build up attackers in the back while you expand your hand. We did get into the Pidgeotto here, so we are able to draw even more cards on this coming turn. And we do have the Dragonair as well, so we can get into Dragonite pretty quickly, I would think. The opponent has the 2 energy on the active. They even have a bunch of evolution Pokemon coming down here. They have the Evisoda. Let's see what they evolve into this time. We get the Swoobat here. It has a nice attack, energy gift, allowing you to get a bunch of energy from your deck, but you do have to rely on coin flips, so it's not going to be totally effective every time, but I do like that attack in the deck. We're going to put evolution Pokemon into play of our own. Using Airmail here, we just get more energy, unfortunately. I was really hoping for a supporter card, but we can start attaching some of this energy onto our benched Pokemon. Putting onto the Chinchou could be useful when we get a Lantern. And we're going to use Collect once again to draw 2 cards. And there are 2 very good draws here. We get the Dragonite as well as a Lantern. So all we need now is a switch, and we're going to be able to deal a whole bunch of damage with our Lantern. So that's 70 damage every single turn with the Lantern, or 140 if we want to discard all of the energy. Very good Pokemon to be attacking with in this stage in the game, since we don't have a lot of other Pokemon choices. We get another Bug Catcher, which I will take. I'm happily going to take any supporter cards here. So we'll play down a Bug Catcher. We get a head, which is awesome. We're going to draw a bunch of more cards, and we can make use of Dragonite here to start accelerating some energy into play. Putting 2 energy onto our Lantern. I could even put down another Dragonite line, so let's start doing that, and we're going to attach manually. Let's put one on the Dragonite, and then we'll just use our Grimer to collect and draw 2 cards. We're not too worried about getting knocked out here, as we do have resistance, so my opponent isn't going to be doing a whole lot of damage. They are able to get into a Tierno, so that's going to draw them 3 cards. And it's going to be on us to try and find a switch card so that we can get into our Lantern and start attacking and swinging this game into our favour, and hopefully finishing it out pretty quickly, as my opponent isn't going to be doing a whole lot overall. They go for the roller skates, which they get a tails on. Bit unfortunate. They would have definitely loved to have been able to draw 3 cards there. And they're going to be able to hit us for 30 damage with that resistance. Definitely not worried about that. We can evolve into Dragonair here. And we have a Bug Catcher that I'm going to make use of, although I think we could go with the How. We'll go with How since it is overall more consistent. It is guaranteeing us 3 cards. We'll even get another Pidgeotto, so we're going to be able to draw 2 cards here from our abilities. We get more energy, so we're going to take the Lightning since we don't have any Lightning in our hand just yet. And we can Airmail again. We get a Pokemon Fan Club. Now we don't have any switch cards yet, but we could attach to the active and start using that to just retreat manually, or we could even attack since they are weak to dark. And for 3 energy we could be dealing 60 damage, so let's go with that. We'll use Dragonite to accelerate energy onto our Grimer, putting 2 onto it with Dragonite and then manually attaching the 3rd energy, and we can attack, as I said, dealing that 60 damage. It's going to be more than enough damage to get a knockout on this following turn, and considering my opponent's only dealing 30 damage, we shouldn't be having any problems here. My opponent plays the potion, so they are healing 30 damage that we dealt, but they are still going to be at a loss here as they only have 80 hit points, as you can see. Let's go with another Bug Catcher, I think, and we get another head, which is amazing. Definitely love to see that. We'll put down a 2nd Dragonite, so we have a ridiculous amount of energy acceleration now, and we can get some more cards drawn through the use of Airmail. So we'll definitely be using these. We get a Thunderous. I'm going to take that. That's a good pickup. And we can make use of our Dragonites. Definitely want to put some more energy into play and power up one of our Dragonites to be ready to attack with. And we can even attach the last energy that we need manually, and we'll just use Grimer here to deal the 60 damage since they have weakness, and we got a knockout nice and easily, taking the first prize card of the match. We get a nice Tornadus. Definitely love that combo of Tornadus and Thunderous in this deck, very powerful. And my opponent has the Miltank, but it is only dealing 10 damage since they don't have any stage 2 Pokemon in play just yet. And I think this is the point that we can start retreating and attacking with some of our other Pokemon that we have available to us. So we'll use Pokemon Communication in a second here. I'm going to use Pokemon Fan Club first, just to see what Pokemon we have available, but as you can see we don't really have any left in the deck, so maybe not use Pokemon Communication since we don't really need it, but we will make use of our Airmails to draw some more cards here, and we get into some energy, which is nice. So use our second Airmail. We got a Lily and a Tate and Lisa. Don't really need any of those since we can't use either of them, but we will be retreating our Grimer, going into the Lantern for sure. Have to unfortunately discard 2 energy, but that's fine as we have ways of getting them back. I'm going to be using the Lantern here to deal 70 damage to our opponent. Not really any need to deal 140 because we would have to discard all of our energy if we do that. So we can happily just 2-hit this Miltank and deal 70 damage every turn. Also didn't bother attaching energy since we do have the double Dragonites out. We have plenty of energy acceleration, there's no real need to be attaching energy unless we really need to, I suppose. So we'll go with Airmail once again. We get a Fisherman, that's a very good pickup, we'll be able to recover energy with that. And we'll Airmail once again, getting a Pokemon Communication, but as I said we don't really need that as the majority of our Pokemon are in our hand already. And we're going to use Lantern here to get the knockout, dealing that 70 damage on Miltank, and taking the next prize card. As you can see, the starter decks that you get when you first begin the game are definitely not up to scratch with the other theme decks. I would highly recommend that you grind the trainer challenge when you first start the game and get a new theme deck as soon as possible through getting coins from the trainer challenge. And that is definitely why I'm showing off this deck, as this is the main deck that you're going to want to purchase as soon as you get enough coins. You need 500 coins in the online game, and that's going to allow you to purchase a theme deck. And this is the deck that you're going to want to purchase, as it is so consistent and it's going to be allowing you to accelerate energy so quickly, as well as just teaching you about the various aspects of the trading card game. Highly recommend picking up this theme deck. So we're going to Airmail again, definitely looking for energy here. We get a water energy and we can Airmail once again for another energy. We could even switch here with Tate and Lisa, but I think we're going to be fine to just continually hit for 70. They are weak to lightning, so we are getting a knockout here. Definitely a good thing. And we can take our third prize card. And as you can see, we're really just picking apart my opponent's deck. No matter what they attach energy to, they're going to be struggling to keep up with us, as they can only attach energy one at a time, and we can pretty much attach 5 energy. We have 2 Dragonite, you can attach 2 per Dragonite and then 1 manually from your hand, so that's a total of 5 energy every single turn. There's no way that any other theme deck is capable of attaching that many energy every single turn. So we don't really need to use Airmail anymore, as we do have less than 10 cards left in our deck. We only have 7 cards left, so we don't really need Airmail. We do have the Cynthia as well, so the Tate and Lisa, so we can always shuffle our hand back into our deck and reduce our hand size and increase our deck size. Definitely something that you want to keep in mind with this deck, as when you're in this situation you're going to be running out of cards in your deck pretty quickly. But that is definitely an advantage in the theme deck format, as you are able to draw through your deck, get all of your resources that you need, and start dealing some big damage. My opponent here promoting another Pokemon just to sacrifice, really, from the looks of things. They're not able to do a whole lot of damage in general, but here comes the Gallade, so they do have that at least, but considering that they don't have any energy for it, we are able to just get a one-hit knockout on it. And I'm definitely going to be going for that right here, discarding all lightning energy and doing 140 damage for the one-hit knockout, going down to one prize card remaining. And seeing as there's not really anything that my opponent can do, we are going to be able to take this game very easily. And we can even switch. Instead of going through the motions and attaching all of the energy, we can just play switch here and go into a Dragonite and get the knockout with this, dealing 170 damage for the knockout and taking a very easy victory against a starting deck and a guest player, which, as I mentioned, we do feel a little bit bad about absolutely demolishing guest players, as you want to really usher them into the game, but really shows off how powerful this Dragonite deck is. Kicking off our last match here, we are up against the Charizard deck from Vivid Voltage. We have a Pidgey in the active and a pretty abysmal hand that we're going to have to use Cynthia to get rid of. My opponent has the Sudowoodo in the active spot as well. We do get a Lily, which could allow us to draw 3 cards here, but I think just using Cynthia is going to be better overall, since we do really need to refresh the hand and hopefully get into some better Pokemon. We do get a couple of Dratini here, so that's definitely going to be something that we put into play, and we're going to be forced to use Collect on our Pidgey in order to draw a card. We do at least get into the Pokemon fan club, so we can get into some different basic Pokemon on this following turn. And it looks like my opponent has double Charmeleon coming into play, so definitely a very scary prospect, and it's going to be a very difficult matchup for us. They have the Hop to draw 3 cards, as well as Sudowoodo to draw 2 cards, so a lot of draw on my opponent's side here. And we have the the Thundurus. We're going to be getting the Tornadus off of the Pokemon fan club here. Definitely want to grab that, and I think another Pidgey, just so that we can evolve into the Pidgeotto. I kind of like that, so we'll take those 2, and hopefully we can get into the Dragonair, although I suppose we could use Pokemon Communication to get Dragonair right now. Seems like a good idea to go for. Even using Airmail would be good. I think we'll attach onto our Thundurus. We'll go for the Pokemon Communication here. We'll put the Pidgey back into the deck, and we'll definitely grab the Pidgeotto, I feel. Oh. Yeah, I never checked that, but we've managed to prize both of our Pidgeotto. Definitely not very good. Grab the Grimer instead, then. Bit unfortunate that we weren't able to get that, but we'll retreat into the Grimer and use Collect to draw 2 cards instead of the 1 that the Pidgey gives us. And getting into 2 energy is not great. Definitely want to find a supporter card here, and it is very unfortunate that we've managed to prize both of our Pidgeotto. So our overall draw engine is going to be very limited throughout this matchup. And we see here my opponent is attaching onto their bench as well as drawing a whole bunch of cards once again. We have the energy that we're able to put onto Thundurus, and we're just once again going to have to use Grimer in order to draw 2 cards with Collect. We do get into a Dragonair, which is a good start, as well as another Grimer. In case this one goes down, we can put Grimer down once again onto our bench. We see a great ball from my opponent, getting them the Charizard, which is a very, very strong attacker and one of the main attackers in the deck, obviously because it is the Charizard deck, but it has other attackers as well. And definitely go and check out the deck profile I did on that theme deck if you haven't already. I'll leave links down in the description. We see a bead from my opponent, which allows them to attach an energy card onto one of their bench Pokemon, and the switch coming in. So they're wanting to attack with the Charizard and just start dealing as much damage as possible very early on here. Start swinging before we're able to get set up. They're using the ability there to get a card from the top 3 cards of their deck, and then they're going to be able to use a Royal Blaze to deal 100 damage, which will be enough to get a knockout since we only have 80 HP. They're also going for the Ordinary Rod, which is interesting. Definitely would have held on to that in order to shuffle in the Charizards, but that's just me. And we do see the knockout here, taking out Grimer. So we could go in with our Thunderous and deal 140 if we wanted to. Or alternatively, we could promote something else and maybe put up the Grimer and draw cards again. We'll put up the Thunderous for now. It is very, very bad that my opponent has 170 hit points on this Charizard. So we can't get anywhere close to a one-hit knockout unless we had Dragonite. But seeing as we don't have that option available to us, I think switching into another Grimer is going to be better suited for us right here. So we'll attach an energy onto our Tornadus and then use Collect to draw 2 cards once again. Getting into more energy, but at least we get the How as well. So it's going to give us just another turn of stalling and basically another energy attachment to get towards maybe a Dragonite, or also just being able to get a knockout on this Charizard really. We see the Sonia from my opponent, probably searching out 2 energy here, but no, they are getting 2 Pokemon, so we see another Charmander as well as the Slugma, but it is the Slugma that they put into play. And we're going for a Battle Sense from my opponent. Looking at the top 3 cards once again, they get to pick one. And we don't get to see what it is, but we can see what they've discarded so far. Played a bunch of Sposhers, mainly How, or not How, Hop. In this situation it's us that has How. And I think we're going to have to go in here with our Thunderous and start dealing some damage. Unfortunate that that is the case, but hopefully we can get into a Dragonite here off of the How. That would be the best Pokemon we can get into, and we don't find one. We just have another Dragonair. That's not looking good for us at all. We can attach to the active, and we definitely want to be dealing the full amount that we can, 140 damage. And we'll put the 40 bench damage onto our Pidgey, I suppose, since it's not really going to make a difference. Yeah, we are only dealing 120 damage, so my opponent still has 50 HP remaining, which is not something that we can even get close to dealing right now. The only thing that we could use to get a knockout on it is our Tornadus, dealing 80 damage, but considering we need 2 more energy in order to attack with that, we're not going to be dealing a whole much right now. We see another Ordinary Rod from my opponent, so I'm just really wasting their Ordinary Rods here, putting in a Slugma, which is really unnecessary, and you definitely want to be using those when a Charizard gets knocked out, so not sure why they're going for that, but they're definitely going to be in the lead here, doing 100 damage, so they missed the knockout. Surprisingly, I thought for sure that they would have been able to find Leon there, so we are able to survive a hit. We have a Pokemon fan club, we can search out another Thunderous. We could also get a Chinchou so that we can get a Lantern into play, so I'm definitely going to grab that. It's going to be useful for us. And we could even put a Thunderous back down into play, although attaching onto some other Pokemon might be nice here. Then we'll attach an energy onto our Tornadus, and then we'll put the Chinchou into play, as well as go for the attack here for the knockout, doing that 70 damage since we do have Tornadus on our bench, and getting the knockout on Charizard to take the first prize on our side. Just getting another energy is not what we want to see. We definitely want a supporter card to try and draw more cards here. My opponent promotes the Charmeleon, so that tells me that they have the Charizard in their hand already, or at least a way of finding it. And they put down another Charmander, but as I said, they don't have any more Ordinary Rod left, so they're not going to be able to make use of another Charizard. And they don't have the Charizard here to evolve into, so we could be able to get a knockout on this Charmeleon. It does have 90 HP, which is not great. We're not able to get a straight knockout, but we do have the Tornadus that we can promote and at least deal 80 damage onto it. We draw into another energy, so we're getting a lot of bad draws this game, which is not what you want to see. We'll evolve into the Lantern and we'll just have to attack with our Tornadus, dealing that 80 damage and spreading 20 to each of our opponent's bench Pokemon, since we have Thunderous in play as well. On my opponent, they have the Hop to draw 3 cards once again. They evolve into the Charmeleon, So they are looking to get the Charizard set up on their bench. I think they're going to be abandoning the active, which makes total sense here. But they are going to retreat and instead go in with Macargo, which is able to hit us for 60 damage. Not quite the knockout. And we have a Cynthia, which is great. That's definitely what we want to see here. So I'll be attaching energy before we use Cynthia so that we can thin that card out of the hand. And we'll draw 6 cards here, hoping for a Dragonite. We're not able to find one, but we do at least have supporter cards here, which are going to be useful for these coming turns. And we're going to be spreading damage once again. That allows us to get the knockout on that Charmeleon that we damaged last turn. And there it is, one of our Dragonites at least, so we're in a much better position now that we have Dragonite. And my opponent can get a knockout here with the Macargo, since it is dealing that 60 damage. They can easily just 2-hit into our Tornadus. They even put down a Pseudo Widow here as well as playing Hop. Well, let's see what they attach onto. They put it on the active, which is questionable in my opinion, as the Macargo is likely going to get knocked out. And we can move an energy onto our Lantern here with its ability, basically an XP share. You get to put an energy onto it when one of your Pokemon get knocked out. And we have the Lantern that we could go in with here, or the Thunderous. I think I'll promote the Lantern as we're more likely to get into the energy required for that. We have another Lily. Definitely want to evolve into Dragonite. That's kind of the main Pokemon of the deck after all. And we'll go with a Bug Catcher here, hoping for the heads. It's a bit of a shame we only get Tails, which draws us 2 cards. My opponent has 30 HP remaining, so we can just hit into them for 70, which is enough for the knockout. And we definitely want to use our energy recycle system, which gets us an energy back into the hand, as we do need that lightning energy in order to attack here. So we use Dragonite to attach these 2 energy onto our active, and then we can attach a energy onto our bench here as well. And then we'll use not Landorus, that's not even in the deck, we use Lantern to deal 70 damage. Definitely don't want to discard all of our lightning energy, as the 70 damage gets us the knockout, and we're able to get a 3rd prize card. Definitely made a comeback in this match, and we've been able to stay in it by the kind of by the wire, really. My opponent plays a Leon, which will help out their Charizard damage, but if they don't have a big attack here, then it's not going to be all that useful this turn. They do have the Charizards though, so that is getting a knockout if they have the energy for it as well, but seeing as they don't have any energy on Charizard, they're not actually going to be able to get a knockout with that. They're just attaching to the active, which again, they need 2 energy in order to attack with that Yanmega. They're going with the Battle Sense ability on Charizard. Looking at the top 3 cards once again, we see 2 energy being discarded, so they do have that Leon on the discard pile, and that's going to increase their Charizard damage, but we do only have to worry about this one last Charizard. So if we attach energy onto our Dragonite here, and then we can also use its ability to attach our other water energy onto the Dragonite, that's going to allow us to use Lily to draw 3 cards, or 2 cards for now. And then we're just going to be hitting into our opponent, I think. We don't have any other cards that we can play, and my opponent is weak to fire, so we're not able to hit them for weakness, unfortunately. Do really want to get the knockout here, as it will put us on equal terms with our opponent, so I'm going to be discarding our lightning energy, and that gets the knockout on the Yanmega. Also, my opponent wasted an energy attachment going onto the active there, so definitely would love to see a wasted energy attachment. They promote the Lugia and attach to it. Not sure why they're attaching to the active. I definitely would like to see them attached to the benched Charizard. Benched anything really, but definitely the Charizard is going to be the main attacker here. They do have the bead, but they're putting it onto the Yanma instead, and using a Lugia to attack us for 30 damage. Definitely not what you want to see, as they're going to be losing this game at this point. Bit of a misstep in a whole bunch of turns for my opponent. We get the Airmail, getting us the Pokemon Communication, which I'm definitely going to be playing here, and shuffling in the Dragonair. Now we could get ourselves a Dragonite or even the Tornadus. I think the Tornadus is going to be more beneficial as it's going to be increasing our damage on the Thunderous, or even using the Tornadus itself to attack with as well. I think attaching energy here could be good if we want to attack, and in order to do that we do have to use our Fisherman, but I also kind of want to use the Lily. We will use Fisherman here in order to get energy back out of our discard pile. We'll get a Water as well as 3 Lightning energy, and then we're going to be using our Dragonite to attach a Lightning energy, and we can always attach the Water as well. I suppose we can put the Water onto the Tornadus, and then the Lightning is going to be on the active, as well as the manual attachment on the active, and we can use our Lantern without discarding energy to get the one-hit knockout, since the Lugia is weak to Lightning, dealing 140 damage and getting a nice big knockout there. It's going to put us ahead of my opponent, and we are primed to win this game. Definitely thought that we were going to be losing this. We were on the ropes for the whole first portion of this match. We just see a pass from my opponent. They're not able to deal any damage to us, so we can just discard our energy from the Lantern. Since we did spread damage earlier, the Charizard already has damage on it, and the 140 from Lantern is going to be enough to close out this matchup and win against the Charizard deck. Really showing the comeback potential of the deck, as well as the overall consistency. Can be bad sometimes, but once you get going, once you get Dragonite up, you're going to be good to go, and you're going to be winning a lot of games with this deck. Highly recommend you playing it and trying it out. I've been That Scottish Nerd, and I'll see you in the next video.